I have done a handful of reviews for Vevor over the last 2 years. The first review I ever did was a Vevor ice machine. And let me tell you, that thing is still dumping ice daily. That has been at least 1.5 years, going on 2 years since I've done that video. And it has held up very well. I was so impressed with it, I went ahead and took on some other reviews that they offered me. Full disclosure, they do send me these products for review, and since then I've done a dough sheeter, I've done a 10-quart stand mixer, I've done electric sausage stuffer, I've done various other ones. I just can't think of all of them, but bottom line, I've had no issues with any of them. And the beauty of Vevor is the price. You just can't beat it. You know, the old saying is you get what you pay for. There's a lot of truth in that. So you have to shop at Vevor, kind of like the way you would shop at Harbor Freight. What I mean by that, everything at Harbor Freight is also made overseas, Asia, various places, and it's no different than Vevor. You just have to know what to shop for. Some things are going to be obviously cheaper build quality than other things. One trick is to go by the price point. The higher the price of what they're asking, you can bet it's better quality. And that's one thing that I look at, not only with Vevor, but also Harbor Freight. Harbor Freight will tell you good, better, or best. And their stuff holds, especially for home use. But getting on to today's video, they just asked me if I would like to do a review on their slushie machine. And my first thought was like, what in the world would I do with a slushie machine? A microsecond later, I was like, bing! I knew exactly what I'd do, because I love like a frozen pina colada, margaritas, frozen mudslides, you name it. This machine can do it. So let me go ahead and walk you around this unit and show you just how it's made, how it's put together, and the commercial built quality this thing actually is. It's a beast. So stay tuned. As you can see, this is commercial grade. This thing is built very well. I looked at some other models just to compare, like Margarita Girl and some other ones. It looks almost identical to that. This is a polycarbonate plastic, which is a high impact plastic. I mean, you can literally drop this and it's not going to break. I would not recommend doing that. I'm just saying. This up here is a ABS plastic. It's also high impact. Now these are 4-gallon tanks. This is a 4-gallon tank. And that is a lot of slushies, man. This would be perfect for Super Bowl parties, cookouts, anytime you're gonna have a guest over. But I would collect the keys at the door before you start serving your guests. I'm just saying. But this actually lives in my computer room, and I think I'm the only guy I know that can make alcoholic frozen drinks in his home office. This is so cool. It really is. But so you know, this will not only do frozen drinks, it will also do just cold drinks. If you just want to keep things cold in here, you can do iced coffee in this. You can take Coca-Cola and just pour cola in there with a little bit of rum or bourbon, and you can have rum and Coke. And you don't have to add anything else, just a Coke, because sugar content is important whenever you're doing a slushie. You got to have at least 13% sugar in whatever you're making. So for people that's trying to watch their sugar, this may not be for you, because it will not slush up without the proper amount of sugar, and it will slush alcohol. So you know, even though alcohol is like an antifreeze, it will still work, and we're going to demonstrate that later. But these are all stainless steel. Looks like good quality stainless too, just looking at the insides of it. And it's also got LED lights on the top of this. But this is easy to remove, because you will want to clean this thoroughly after every use. And it's super easy. We're going to go through that. Stay tuned to the very end of this video, because after I mix this, and probably be tomorrow before I shoot it, but I'm actually going to break this down and show you how to clean it. Now I'm only using one tank today. I've got enough stuff to do both of these, but you know, I got to thinking, I'm like, who's gonna drink all this? So it's just me and my wife, and I do have a friend coming by later, and I'm making Hurricanes. Hurricanes is a real famous drink in New Orleans from a place called Pat O'Brien's, downtown French Quarter in New Orleans. And I've got a mix that we're gonna make that with, and I'll show you all that coming up. But as far as the unit goes, it's got a 1000 watt compressor. It's supposed to chill down really fast. The condenser on this is solid copper, not aluminum, and that is a big plus. That's why I'm telling you, a lot of stuff Vevor makes, all their motors are copper wound, and in this case the actual coil is copper. And if you have a choice between copper and aluminum, always go with copper. Now this thing is vented on 3 sides, this side, the back, and the front, and there is a main power switch on the very back. I actually had this plugged up, nothing's lit up because the power switch on the back is cut off. Now these are removable. They just pop in there. And that's in case you have any drippage coming through here, it will go into this part. Now up underneath this tank, when you're removing this, and you will have to clean this main cylinder here, any water that you get from rinsing it, it will run into this bottom tray and out through here and collect here. Now if you had a sink nearby, that would be so handy. You could remove that and just dump it into your sink. So what I would recommend, and what I'm going to do, since I don't have a sink in my home office, I'm going to have a bucket here, and I'll go ahead and do all my cleaning, soap it all up, rinse it off, and I'll show you that later how it looks with all this off. This comes off, this auger comes off, there's a gasket on the back, it comes off, and everything that is exposed is just this round cylinder here that spins. This is the part that actually gets cold and actually turns things into slush. And I'll take you through the cleaning phase on that as well. But that's what these little nozzles for. That's strictly a drain pipe to go into here. So hey, I think I pretty much covered it. It's got a user's manual, and it covers everything. It's well written, easy to understand. But it also has this pamphlet here, and this is one I was more impressed with. It's got color pictures, just how to set your target temperature and things like that. It's also has a step-by-step tank installation instructions, but I think it would be better if I actually show you on video. We'll do that, like I said, towards the end of this video. The mix that I bought for this is from Margarita Man. He has a hurricane mix. He has all kind of mixes, including a nice Pina Colada Select seasoning. But I'm going to go ahead and follow his recipe, and it calls for 2.5 gallons of water. I would always recommend to pour your water in first. That way, if you did have a leak at your gasket or something like that, then you haven't put any booze or haven't put any of your mix in there. So I've got 1 gallon going in. Alright, check for leaks. I don't see any leaks. Nothing dripping here, nothing dripping here, which means the seal is holding. Everything is doing what it should be doing. Now I might cut this recipe back, because here is your minimum fill line. Instead of 2.5 gallons of water, I might cut this in half and do 1.25 gallon, because I've still got to add the mix and I still got to add the booze, which is going to probably bring it up in here somewhere. So we're only going to do half of what this bottle can do. So I've got exactly half the water that the recipe calls for. Now I could divide this up between the 2 tanks and use that whole half gallon of the mix, but instead I'm only using 1 quart of it. 2 quarts is a half a gallon, so I've got 1 quart mixing with the 1 gallon and a quarter, or a quart. So there's the actual syrup for the hurricanes. Alright, I'm just going to be using this Bacardi white rum. This is a 1.75 liter. So there's my Bacardi white rum. I'm just going to use 1 liter of this over into the tank. Now you can always adjust the booze to your liking. You can add more to it if you wanted to, or less. Alright, so here is the lid, and I was wanting to show you. There's a light in here. If you look at these little contacts, they make contact with the back of that, and that's what turns the light on, if you're wondering. So go ahead and get our lid on. Always start at the front, let it go back, lights on. So they recommend you to run this at 9 degrees Celsius, so we're going to hit set. I've already got it at -7. We're going to bring this down to 9, just long enough for it to freeze. 9, set. All right. Oh, there we go. Compressor just kicked in, fans running, and we are off to the races. It's not too noisy. I had my freeze dryer in here and that was kind of noisy at times, but that's not too bad. This is a very small room. So as you can see, you can run this one independent of this one here. So I'll bring you back in about 45 minutes or whenever this is ready, and we're going to try it out. Are you kidding me? Man, this is fast. Let's see what it tastes like. Oh, perfect. No more booze needed. All right, before this turns back on, I just want to tell you, I'll be back in the morning. I'm gonna have, I don't know how many of these I'm gonna have tonight, but I will be back tomorrow and show you how to clean this thing out and put it back together, how to take it apart, how to put it back together.
I'm the friend Rusty was talking about earlier, and I'm looking forward to buying my Vevor machine soon. Drink up, America.
That's right.
Cheers.
Well, we lived through the night, and I tell you what, there was only a small amount left in this. I'd say about 1/3 of a gallon. And what I done last night is I went ahead, while it was still spinning before I cut it off, is I went ahead and pushed the rest of this into a pitcher. That little bit is still in the refrigerator. Now I'm going to show you just how to take this thing apart. I'm going to clean it real good and then put it back together. So if you look at the front of this, you'll see how that clips in behind here. Just like so. That's what's actually putting pressure up against this rear gasket here, that silicone gasket. So what you do is you just take your thumbs right up under here, you lift straight up, and you work it out just like that. It comes right off. So I'll lay this here for now. Now this has got to come off too, but pay attention where this is at. It's all the way up against this little gasket here. This is another silicone gasket. And I'll tell you what you got to do when I put it back, but for now, we're just going to slide this off. Just spin it right off of there. Now this little rubber boot pops out of here, and if you'll look, I don't know if you can see that or not. Let me see if I can get you a good shot. I don't know if you can see that, but it's got like a slot in there, and on this end, that would go into that slot. So I'll show you when I come back exactly how to spin that until you know you got it. Now we also want to remove the silicone gasket, get it off of here. And you want to wash all this really good with just soapy water and then let it dry. Let everything dry. Don't put anything back on wet, because that alone will kind of promote the growth of mold or bacteria and things like that. Now I'm going to do this in the kitchen, but I will come back in here and actually take a rag, soapy water, and wash this whole thing. It's kind of sticky from that syrup. And then we're just going to take water and pour over it to let it rinse, and all that will drain back into here. We'll take this, wash it out good. All right, I'll be back in a little bit and we'll put this thing back together. It's very easy. All right, everything has been washed and dried. Now I just took some spray oil and I sprayed this gasket, got a little thin layer of oil. What that's going to do is create a better seal, plus it's going to help that cylinder, the tank itself, slide on easier without hanging up or anything like that. So you just make sure you got that in place. Next we're going to take this little piece here, push it right here, then back on with this piece. Now this is the part I was talking about earlier where you have to make this piece here up. So just turn it. Till it goes all the way in. That's it right there. Can't go no further. Now we slide this piece on. Push it up on your gasket, like so. Just like that. Now this lid here, as I said earlier, has these contacts right here. So you want to hook it on the front first, go down and look at that and make sure it's lining up. If not, you might have to twist the tank a little bit, like right there. And that's perfect. Now the way this thing operated is once it settled in and found its bottom temperature, everything good and slushed up like it should be, compressor kicks out. It'll stay out for like 20 minutes at a time. It'll kick in, run about 3 minutes, cut right back out for about another 20 plus minutes. My buddy Rob was over here, and the entire time he was here, probably, I know he was here for at least 2 hours, maybe 2.5. It might have come on 4 times, real briefly. Man, it just works fantastic. I'll probably be using it again this weekend. I'm doing a shrimp boil. We'll probably be doing pina coladas. I'm gonna have a few more people over and let them experience this. If you're interested, I'll have a link in the description for this exact same model, and also the table that this is sitting on that comes from Vevor. I'll have a link to it also. It's perfect. It's 3 foot long. It's enough for your machine, plus enough over here for all your booze, your mixers, whatever. Perfect size. It doesn't take up a whole lot of room. Well, I hope y'all enjoyed it. I'm Russ Jones with Smoky Ribs Barbecue.